shell companies, dirty paperwork, people skimming a system that nobody is really watching or paying attention to. It makes no sense. It drives me crazy. I'm going to be honest with you, because I know the scams. I perpetrated it. I understand it. And please understand, 40 years ago, I paid the price for what I did. When do these people get held accountable? The scams will keep coming. The names might change. The game doesn't. It's classic mafia democracy at work. From a mob guy's perspective, yours truly, this is textbook. How the Minnesota scam actually works. Let me tell you. Hey everyone, welcome to another Sit Down with Michael Franzese. Hope everybody is doing well. All is very good, very blessed on this end. As always, my friends, I give all the praise, honor, glory, and thanksgiving to our God for that. We made it through another year. It's the first full week of 2026, and boy, did it start off with a bang. I have to say this, I just got back from New Orleans, and it was a great time. I love that city, great people, great everything, right? A lot of history, a lot of mob history there. Didn't get involved in that to any great degree, but I know the presence is there. Anyway, what was the highlight? Cafe du Monde. What beignets they have there. Very famous for their beignets. Terrific. I love them. We splurged on it and we ate a lot of them, but it was terrific. But it's a great city. And boy, did this year start off with a bang. Beginning with, you know, the whole Maduro, Venezuela capture over the weekend. And now we have the Minnesota fraud. I'm going to be speaking about Maduro and Venezuela a little bit later this week. I have a perspective on that. I'm going to share it with you. And I think it's pretty well on point about what really went on down there. We'll talk about it. So let's get into this Minnesota Somali government fraud because it's extremely significant. I mean, the fraud that we're seeing in this government, people, we need to be aware and we need to hold these people accountable. The people that are robbing you blind, enriching themselves while you're trying to put food on the table, send your kids to school, go on vacation, pay your mortgage. They are robbing you blind. The people that you put your trust in, that put their left hand on the Bible, right hands swear to tell the truth and work for the American people, and then robbed you blind. It's happening all the time. Not by everybody, but by many. And we're going to talk about that. That's not politics. That's fraud. That's thievery. That's criminal activity. And these people need to be held accountable. Let's get to Minnesota. You know, why do I care about this? Look, I spent 20 years in the life. I ran one of the biggest tax scams this country had ever seen in the gasoline business. So when I look at what's happening in Minnesota with this Somali daycare and food program fraud, I don't see confusion. I don't see waste. I see a classic operation. Shell companies, dirty paperwork, people skimming a system that nobody is really watching or paying attention to. Our governor, or their governor, Tim Walz, Mameluke of the Year. I made him Mameluke of the Year. He's a goofball, he's a Mameluke, but you know what? I believe he's a thief also, because he knew this was going on. He's supported in great part by the Somali community, and they're the ones that perpetrated the fraud. Ilan Oman. You know, she was worth $45,000 in 2019. You know what she's worth now? $30 million. On a congressperson's salary of $175,000 a year. Figure it out. These people are thieves. They're robbing you. They need to be held accountable. How the Minnesota scam actually works, let me tell you. The world doesn't need another wine. It really needs a reason to raise a glass again. A reason that's real. A reason that means something. Because most people, they drink to forget. We drink to remember where we came from, what we stand for, and who we still fight to become. We don't follow trends, we break them. Our bottles don't look like anyone else's because our story, it isn't like anyone else's. It's about freedom, about redemption, about family. That's what's inside every bottle. So, to the ones who think different, who live different, who drink different, salute. From what we're seeing so far, it's very simple. You set up a daycare center or centers, food sites, nonprofits on paper, all on paper, You file forms that say you're feeding tens of thousands of kids. You're billing the state and the feds for meals and care that never really happens. Very simple. You move the money into other companies. You move them into cars, houses. Believe me, I know this. Sometimes you move it out of the country. I did that. In my day, it was gas taxes, not kids' meals. We didn't go after kids' meals. We didn't hurt kids. We didn't hurt families in that regard. We created dummy corporations. We collected the tax from the wholesaler, the station owner at times, and or at the pumps. We collected the tax, but we didn't pay it to the government. We kept the money. But also, we gave some of the money back to the consumer, back to the taxpayer in the form of lower gas prices at the pump. So we didn't take it all. We gave some back to the consumer. They were paying less at the pumps. It's why they called us Robin Hood. We didn't keep it all. Unlike the greedy perpetrators in this Minnesota fraud, they kept it all. They stole all the taxpayer money. They have a different product, but they had the same mobster mentality. They robbed the taxpayers' money. They did it with a pen and a government program. We did it with a license at that time and a little persuasion on our part. Thieves. What this tells me is this is organized. It's not sloppy paperwork. And there are a couple of big red flags here. The scale of it. When you're taking hundreds of millions of dollars and now over $1 billion, many billions, in suspected social services fraud in one state, that's not a mistake. That's a business model. That's one red flag. Second red flag, patterns. Multiple daycare and food sites with no kids on site, locked doors, recycled addresses, but all billing like crazy. That's how you spread the risk through a network. Why didn't Tim Walz know this? Why didn't Ilhan Omar know this? Why didn't any of the government officials know this? The doors were locked, there were no kids, and they were still being billed. Still billing the government because they were all sharing in it. Don't let them gaslight you. Don't let them kid you. Tim Walz is up there blaming everybody else. He's dropped out of the race for governor now. He may go to jail. He should go to jail. He should be held accountable. Remember, the buck stops with me, the guy on the top. Take responsibility. They never do that. Biden didn't do it. Walz is not going to do it. They're not going to do it. People in political power, they don't take responsibility. That's the second red flag. Third, timing. A lot of this grew out of COVID emergency money and loose welfare programs where the message was pay first, ask questions later. That's exactly when professional thieves move in. In the mob, when we saw a weak collection point like taxes, fuel, unions, we built an operation around it. The people in Minnesota, they did the same damn thing with social services, stealing taxpayer money. That's the bottom line. Don't let them gaslight you. Don't let them make excuses. They were stealing your money. Now, where did the government fail? Now, this part you already know, but it needs to be said. The state got warnings about fraud in these programs for years. Tim Walz was warned. Whistleblowers are saying that, but he was supported by the Somali community, so he wasn't going to blow the whistle on them. Don't let him tell you any different. Feeding our future daycare scams, welfare ripoffs, and they were slow to shut it down. They knew it. Why? This is where the politics come in. They were afraid of being called racist, bureaucrats passing the buck, and people making money off the programs. They were staying quiet. When I was stealing gas taxes, the government couldn't keep up with us either. But once they did, people were indicted, people went to prison, I went to prison, I had a huge fine, huge restitution. They forget about it, forfeiture. They took my plane, my helicopter, money I had in banks. They went through me like Grant went through Richmond. But what's happening here? The hammer came down on us. In Minnesota, billions go missing, and only when a YouTuber, this guy Nick, when he starts filming empty centers, does anybody move and funding finally gets frozen. How do you figure this out? Because they let it happen. They didn't let it happen with us. They were on me for 7 years. You know how many people went down? How many people were indicted? How many people got, heavy prison sentences? But not in government. In government, you get a big stink. Congress makes a big deal out of it. Who's been held accountable? We don't see anything yet. Let's wait and see. But so far, it had to be this guy, Nick Shirley, that went there on his own, a young guy, did the investigation. Now everybody's becoming aware of it. What this looks like from the mob perspective, from a mob guy's perspective, yours truly, this is textbook. Control the paperwork, not the product. You don't need real gas or real daycare. You need believable forms and a cooperative bureaucracy. Spread it out. Many locations, many companies, same people behind the scenes. If one goes down, others keep running. It's a Ponzi scheme. We had the same thing. It was a daisy chain. One closes, you open up somewhere down the street. You just keep it running. Launder the money fast, move the money into assets, overseas wires, family businesses, make it look like legitimate success, not stolen aid. But the difference? In the life, if $250 million goes missing, somebody answers for it, maybe with their life. In government, $250 million goes missing, you get a press conference and a bigger budget to fix the problem. That's what they do. It makes no sense. It drives me crazy. I'm going to be honest with you, because I know the scams. I perpetrated it. I understand it. And please understand, 40 years ago, I paid the price for what I did. So don't look at me now. I paid the price. I talk about it. I educated people on it. That's over. I knew it was wrong. I took responsibility. I took a plea, took my hit, gave up the money, went to prison. I did it. When do these people get held accountable? The final word to my audience is this. I'm not saying every Somali in Minnesota is a criminal. That's wrong. That's not true. We know that. There are good people in every community, including that one. But what I am saying is, when you put billions of dollars on the table with weak controls, the worst people, mob guys, fraudsters, crooked politicians, they're going to show up. That's human nature. You stop this the same way you stopped organized crime. Mafia, government mafia, mafia democracy. I'm saying it, it's in Washington, D.C. You tighten the rules. Audit the money, not the press releases. And actually put people in prison when they steal from taxpayers and abuse your children. Until that happens, the scams will keep coming. The names might change, the game doesn't. It's classic mafia democracy at work. People have been saying that. Are we going to let these people get away with it again, once again? Are we going to do that? People frowned on U.S. aid when Elon Musk and his crew and his task force was going through it. But that was huge fraud. How many times do I have to say this? I'm going to be saying it all year long. We have midterms coming up. I'm going to be saying it all year long. You can't trust people that lied to you and abused you and took you for granted. I said this again. How many times have I said this? This country right now is $38 trillion in debt. Do you understand why? Fraud. Government officials enriching themselves, spending money they don't have on their pet programs, making their families wealthy. They're making the people that they care about, the companies that they care about, wealthy. They complain about billionaires. They made them billionaires, many of them. They made them because they supported them in elections. Don't let these people gaslight you. This country is in debt not because of you or because of me or because of anyone else. It's because of them. They did it. Government did it. They were irresponsible. They enriched themselves. I told you before, Ilan Oman. She was worth 45 grand in 2019. She's worth 30 million now. In Minnesota, where all this fraud took place, among the Somalis, her people. You're going to say she didn't know anything about it? Tim Walz, put in office by a large sector of the Somali population in Minnesota. You're going to say that when whistleblowers told him things were going wrong, he didn't pay attention because he wanted to stay in office. It's so easy to see. Maybe because I was a criminal at one time, I can see right through it. People, we need to stop this. 2026 has to be the year that we hold these people accountable. And Congress, stop going on, making press conferences and going on Fox News and telling us all this stuff, and then nothing happens. Nothing happens. It's the same with the Epstein stuff. I just read today they got 1 million more documents to go through. 1 million documents? And nothing of substance is going to come out? Please. Stop trying to pull the wool over our eyes anymore. It's not working. People are getting wise to it. They're understanding it. They really are. But you got to do something. Hold these people accountable. There are good people in government. I'm not saying everybody's bad. I don't throw one blanket over everybody. It's the same way that I said some guys in the mob, they were good people. They were doing the wrong thing, but again, the age-old question, why do good people do wrong things or do bad things? It doesn't make them a bad person. There are different reasons sometimes, and I'm not making excuses. They still should be held accountable for their behavior, and then they need to wake up and say, you know what? Take responsibility. I was wrong. I shouldn't do this again. And good people with good hearts, they do that. Tim Walz, he's not doing that. He's shuffling the blame. Of course, he's blaming Trump. Of course, everybody blames Trump for everything. We understand that already. No matter what goes wrong, they're going to blame him. We're going to talk about Maduro and Venezuela. And I'm not going to pull any punches. I know what went down there. I understand it. I can see through it. And I'm not going to pull any punches. I'm not taking sides. I'm going to tell you what I honestly think and from my perspective, what I see and what's really going on. So stay tuned for that. But people, it is the year of, let's call 2026 the year of accountability, holding our leaders, and I use that term very thinly and very loosely, because I don't consider many of them leaders. They just happen to be in a position of power because you put them there, we put them there, and they've abused it. They're not leaders. They're not leaders at all. I told you many times, a leader is only a leader when people willingly want to follow that person. They inspire something in you. These are not leaders. These are elected officials that have abused their platform and their power. We need to hold them accountable. And I'm going to be on Congress. Democrats, Republicans, hold these people accountable. You worked for the people of the United States of America that put you in office. You're public servants. You don't deserve to take that office and become wealthy at our expense. You don't deserve that. You're not criminals. We did that on the street. You're not supposed to be doing that. You're supposed to be acting honorably, following the law, obeying the law, employing the law, not abusing it and making yourself wealthy as a result. That's why none of you ever want to leave office. I get it. I understand it. You got more perks than anything else, and you're making money. But you're abusing people in the interim, people that can't put food on their table, people that, God forbid, don't pay their taxes. Watch what happens to them. Tax money that they give you to abuse them, to steal. I get angry. This is what happened in Minnesota. They stole your money. Not only the people of Minnesota, because it was federal money. They stole taxpayers' money and enriched themselves, and every darn one of them should be held accountable. And every darn progressive that is afraid to talk about this, you should all be held accountable. Because if it was Republicans and Trump, you'd be singing from the rooftops. But because it's your own people, you keep quiet. That's wrong. You work for the American people. You don't work for Democrats. You work for people, period. Yes, I get fired up, people. I do. But I'm going to be the voice of acknowledgement this year. I am. 2026 is the year of accountability, the year of taking responsibility, and the year of showing people that they can't get away with abusing the American people anymore. That's what this year is going to be about. You're going to hear a lot about the mafia because I see the mafia in government everywhere I go. Now, aside from that, I will be telling some more mob stories. I have a couple coming up. Done some research on some things you're going to find very interesting. So no, I'm not abandoning that, people. And I'm also want to make an announcement. I am putting together a sister channel, a YouTube platform, sister to this, separate and apart, but it's going to be total ministry. Why am I doing that? Because I feel a responsibility, okay, to share the Word of God with all of you. I've been doing it for 30 years. In person, in books, anywhere I get a chance, and somewhat on YouTube, but not enough. But I'm going to be doing that very, very shortly. In this month, I will tell you that. There'll be a big announcement or an announcement, and you'll be able to go there. And I hope you do, because I want to encourage you. And the theme of that is going to be, it's going to be 100% focused on Jesus Christ. But if God can forgive me and turn my life around, and I give him all the credit, then he can and he will do it for any one of you out there, any one of you struggling, any one of you going through a challenge. God will forgive you, support you, give you a purpose in life. I promise you that. I promise you that, but don't take my word for it. This is God's promise. And boy, I'm a perfect example of that, people, in many, many ways. I give all the credit to my Lord and Savior, okay, for my life, for my freedom, for my existence, for whatever success I've had, for the relationships that I've made. It's all because I'm accountable to God. And He inspires me. I'm not perfect, don't get me wrong. You know, I go off the handle. I'm a sinner at times. I'm not perfect in any way, shape, or form. But my belief in God is rock solid. My belief in Jesus Christ, the only true man's man. Watch for my next book coming out. The only true man's man. He inspires me. Everything about Him inspires me. That's what's coming up, people. Going to be a power-packed year, I promise you that. And yeah, I'll be holding people accountable. Why can I do that? Because I was held accountable. I went to jail. I did my time. I lost my money. I lost my assets. I suffered. My family suffered. Rightfully so. I took responsibility. I was held accountable. Why shouldn't other people be held accountable? We should. When we abuse the American people, when we rob, when we steal, when we commit a crime, we should be held accountable. Absolutely. Doesn't matter. Government people, they're not above the law. The Democrats, the progressives, they keep spewing that out. But they go silent when one of their own does exactly the same. They make excuses. They go silent. Crickets. We don't hear anything. We're going to hear it from me, and I'm sure a lot of others. I'm not the only one out there. And people, I'm going to tell you this. I'm bipartisan in that way. I tell it like it is. And I'm telling you straight out, if Trump was involved with Epstein, I would be the first one to talk about it because I think it's disgusting. I've seen zero evidence of that. Zero. I've seen zero evidence, although it looks shady at times, of Bill Clinton being a pedophile or abusing a young woman. I haven't seen the evidence, and I won't hold him accountable to that yet. That takes evidence, people, when you're accusing somebody of something so despicable. But when I see it, I'll talk about it. If I think there's mistakes, I'll talk about it. I'm telling you, I got nothing to lose, nothing to gain. I'm going to be 75 this year. 3/4 of a century. What does anybody do for me or to me? Come on. You know, I've lived a blessed life through all my stuff, so I'm going to tell the truth. And if I'm not telling the truth and you argue with me, okay, well, I shouldn't say it that way. And if you disagree with me and you think I'm not telling the truth, challenge me on it. I'll be happy to defend whatever I say if I can. And if I can't, I won't say it. And if it's an opinion, I'll tell you that's my opinion. It's only an opinion. Doesn't, cast a shadow on anybody. It's only an opinion. That's it. All right, people, I think I've laid it out pretty clearly today. So stay tuned for the Maduro, Venezuela video. It's coming up soon, this week. And how do I always leave you? Same way, my friends. Be safe, be healthy, and I mean this with all my heart. God bless each and every one of you for the new year. God bless your family, your friends, your community. God bless America, because we're going through some challenges. It's going to be a difficult year, I can tell you that, but hopefully it's going to be a blessed one. We ask for God's blessings. Yes. I'll see you next time. Stay tuned.